Hi guys, it's another stunning Easter Sunday. Absolutely chucking it down here. Anyway, I've been threatening a workshop video for absolutely ages, so I thought I might as well do something today and show you around the workshop. Now, like all my articles, everything here is done on a budget, so just bear that in mind. There's no really expensive equipment in here. So we've got I'll just spin around. I can't zoom out any further than this, so I'll just spin around. There's a PC there with preheater, USB microscope, a couple of meters with thermocouples fitted, cheap soldering iron. We've got an 852 hot air system there, a really old fluke meter that doesn't get used very often, but it's nice to have it there. A power supply courtesy of Zen, and a 932 vacuum pickup. I'll show you these a bit closer later on. That is my new project. Hopefully will be a rework oven at some point with preheaters on the top. I'll show you that in a minute. Well, we've got all sorts of PC boards and old speakers, all sorts in those boxes there. That box is full of, again, computer and LAN connection bits and pieces. We've got scrap boards there, just for the spares. We've got drawers full of cables from scrap sets, mains in there, flat cables there with some LVDS cables, more scrap boards in there. Oh, I'll show you these boards and that BGA in a minute because they're all to do with the oven. Just some tools, phone, various deflux and IPA cleaning solvents. Oh, now we have a really old Tektronix 453 scope here. We think it's from the 1960s. Don't know whether you can see. It's a model 210H serial number. I got it from a guy who worked at IBM, who this has been made for. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It was probably only about £20 or £30 back in 1990 something or other. Doesn't get used very often, but actually still works, which is quite amazing. I mean, it's got to be over 40 years old. There's that. Oh, these buttons are a bit flaky, so I normally have to click them out of normal position and go to uncalibrated, otherwise they get a bit, probably just needs a spray, but I normally leave it there. Perfectly okay for my purposes. So that's that. Oh, now would you believe it? That's my dad ringing. I'll be back in a second. Right, back again. Sorry about that. So I was just saying about the Tektronix, really old one, but still works when it needs to be used. Obviously Sky HD box, so we've got a nice HD source, monitor, all the components. Again, just in little drawers. Pretty much everything I need is in there. What else have we got? Oh grief! I don't know why I keep these things. We've got a brand new button panel. Gosh, they're from a Ferguson, weren't they? I can't even remember what it was for. It's so long ago. And a used one there. That is a extension jig for an old video. Yeah, it's LG. God knows what video that was. Whole bag of different sized belts and things. Button cells. Test CDs for hi-fis. Not that we see many hi-fis anymore. What else? Some fans. Oh yeah, the trusty capacitor wizard. Couldn't do without that one. Infrared remote tester. That came from CPC about 20 years ago. Yeah, the trusty ammeter and voltmeter. These are connected up to the isolated transformer, which is just down there. I don't know what that came out of, probably some telly years and years ago. But that's just wired up, and all the sockets that have got green on them are isolated. This is great because you can instantly see, well, you certainly could on old tube sets, you could instantly see whether the frame stage was working or the line stage was working just by the readings on the meter. It's still useful sometimes just to monitor things. So that's that. That TV is for the CCTV out the front, so I can see if people pull onto the drive. What else have we got? Oh yeah, PAP testing course, 2005. Bought all the gear, never used it, that went back on eBay. What else have we got? Oh yeah, driving school certificate. I actually did the driving, I was actually teaching for 6 months, but again that didn't work out, just not enough money in it. More components. Oh, this stuff's really useful. I can't remember where I bought this from, but it's probably somewhere like Wilkinson's or somewhere like that. I've got a piece cut actually, so I'll get that bit out. It's just a sort of foam rubber type thing, but components when you're working on them stick really well if you're soldering and you haven't got the board in a holder of any sort. You can just pop the board on there and work away, and it doesn't move very much at all. Quite useful. Stupidly sprayed it with flux remover at some point, and that's just melted it. But it was only £4 or £5. Quite useful. What have we got? WaveTech 235. This says the little computer infrared port. Don't use it like that, but I have got the lead somewhere. This is the one that I managed to drop some water on, I think 2 years ago, and the sound no longer works on it. But it's nice, reliable, accurate. I've had that quite a few years. I've got a fluke in one of the cases somewhere as well, but the response, probe response time on this is really quick, and the fluke is a bit slower, so I like this one. As you can see, it's pretty much instant. So that's that. I've got a laptop here. I've normally got the GQ4X plugged into it, but I've been messing around with the Lloyd Research programmer as well. Got this monitor set up with the laptop, so I can have 2 screens going at the same time. I've got used but all working boards up here, power supplies, inverters, T-con boards, all sorts of bits and pieces. Fuse box in the corner there. But funnily enough, I didn't realise that the mains input on this is only rated at, so the fuse is 16 amp. As I've got this oven in here now, it was tripping the unit, so I've actually had to wire up a separate supply from the house using some old caravan cable that we've got, and just plug it into this fuse. That's this box here, it's got RCD and a higher rated fuse. I'll show you that in a minute. A couple of old Iowa speakers just for testing if we do get any hi-fis in, but like I say, we tend not to see anything much these days like that. We've got an LG plasma there. I've got that connected to the laptops if I need a bigger display, and it can plug into the computer over there if I do need to see what I'm working on a really big screen. Can be useful. That's my selection of tools, nothing too special there. A couple of them need to be replaced, a bit worn out. And then we've got the everyday workhorse soldering iron. That's the Icon from Ursa. Again, it's been very reliable. No particular issues with it. Well, in fact, the only issue I did have last year was I managed to break the element. This unscrews, and actually the whole element can pull out from this grey case here. and it snapped off, probably because I put too much pressure sideways on it like that, and it's just fatigued the metal and it snapped out. The shocking thing was the element is about 70 quid. Very kindly Blundell sent me another one, as we still recommend them on the forum, and they sent me one free of charge, which was very nice of them. So that's what I use most days. I'll just turn that off. We have the usual set of capacitors, all sorts there, all in their little compartments. Got a few high voltage ones in there, and then we have, oh, now this was a good buy. I've used quite a few of these. This is a little kit of surface mount capacitors. Get the lid open with one hand. Yeah, it's quite a nice range of values and physical size there, and it came from Hong Kong or China, and it was £10, so I was really quite pleased with that. Recently used a lot of them on one of the PS3000 plasmas, changed all of the caps on a control board to get that up and running. And we've got another box with caps and glass fuses. Those resistors I think are for the GHDs. A few more surface mounts. Nothing too unusual there. That is an old Jaeger set of fuses. Again, that's from the 1990s. Just fill those up as required. And we have an IC protector kit, again years old. I keep all of the little surface mount fuses in here in their bags. We've got Wickman fuses and the old ICPs. Don't really use these anymore. You never know. All handy stuff. What else have we got? Oh, just the usual screwdrivers, and whether you remember these or not, they're a must in the days of video repairs, but there's springs and washers and all sorts, circlips. Oh, it's fallen out. So that's that. Scrap boxes under here, just boards for parts really, they're all scraps. And with this, but there's remote controls in here as well. Various computer parts, some hard drives, memory. You never know what's going to come in, so I keep all the little bits and pieces from the scrap computer or old parts from an upgrade. I've got two of the Charles Hyde supplied plasma stands. Not cheap, but couldn't really do without them. The only bit I don't like really is the foam, because it tends to get caught under the cabinet, and or it's masking the screws that are there. It can be a bit of a pain, but got to have them. Under there we also have a box of used and working parts. Some of these I've got listed on the forum. They're all ready to go should anybody want one. Fan in the summer, and I actually also use that for cooling down any stuff that's been preheated. Another computer been done with a broken screen, but I use it on this little monitor as and when required. So, old catalogues, 2, 3, 4 years out of date. And I bet everybody's still got these books. Steve Beeching, Nick Beer, I don't know who that guy is, I don't know his first name. Test DVDs, test video. That is the adapter for the EEPROM programmers. That is to allow you to read the HDMI and VGA ports if you've got the correct cable to go with it. We have various there's a focus test CD, VCR files, television micro files. Again, completely useless I think these days. I just can't bear to chuck them out really. What else have we got? Oh look, do you remember this? Mitsubishi television fault file. Oh dear, those are the days. Still, little use, and I suppose one day I'll just throw it out. Same with this, Yoga Electronics 2003-2004 semiconductor data book. Ridiculously out of date, don't know why I've got it. You can find all of the information online these days. Then what have we got? Various empty boxes. Oh yeah, another blast from the past. Television servicing from U-View Circuits. Book number 5. Again, I don't know why I've got it. It'll never be used. But I just haven't got the heart to throw it out. Various videos. We have the LCD backlight tester there. Done a review on that on the forum. So that's that. New solder sockets, new sponges, a couple of CD mechanisms, flux cleaner, an assortment of mains cables, and the old Variac. I can't even remember. I mean, look at the dust on it. I can't remember the last time that was used. But I just plug that in as and when required. Really, like I say, it doesn't happen very often. Right. Well, this is the main setup here. I've just got a 2 thermocouples linked up to flexible arms that I found on eBay. They're actually for fibre optic lights. There's a little sort of lampshade on the end of these normally, and you plug the other end into a really bright light source, pretty much like the rear projection TV light sources, but I've used them just to be able to position the thermocouples. They're flexible, I can move them around. Same with the USB camera. You can see the sort of quality of the picture. The frame rate's not fantastic on this one, but I can check things, and I can, if I'm very slow, I can rework the chip using the camera. And it's quite a small chip. You can see that's my little finger. It's pretty small, and the magnification is not too bad. The preheater, this is the older 853 with this far nicer mechanism for holding the board in place. I don't really like this new cross pattern one that's out there, but I'm sure if you wanted to adapt the ones you've got, it's only a couple of rods. You can pretty much safely ignore these temperature readings on here. The only one that matters is the one that's on the thermocouple. Obviously the bigger the board, the more heat you need, but this doesn't seem very accurate, and I tend to just ignore it and just crank the temperature right up, or adjust accordingly if it does run a little bit too warm. So that's that. The displays of temperature are just simply done on there. And that's it really. I've got the hot air here, nicely broken. We've got the fine tip for just reflowing the pins of any IC like that, or this one here perhaps. That's that. Again, the soldering irons here just as a backup for the other one, if the other one should pack up. I rarely use it. It's not a fantastic range of tips, but they do have a very fine tip, which is very useful just for touching up the pins. If I just hold that in place, you'll see the time lag. There's a very slight, well, you won't see it because you can't see my hand moving, but you get the idea. If you're slow, you can just touch each pin if you wanted to. So that's that. Yeah, again, the vacuum pump, that's it's got a nozzle. Well, the nozzles are actually here. That's quite a big sucker cup on the end. You can get ones that are pretty much like hypodermic needles, with the end just chopped off at a flat angle, and with those you can pick up, well, you know, the tiny 402 devices. You just cover the hole up and drop it in place. I tend to use it just for removing BGAs and normal ICs. So I've seen people on YouTube trying to flick things up with 2 little wire prong IC removers, or lifting them up with a blade. I don't think that's a particularly smart idea. If that's at reflow temperature properly, that will just lift up easily with the sucker. And the vacuum with one of these is not particularly high, so you're not going to be ripping off pins and the like if it hasn't quite reached reflow temperature. So that's all of that. Again, this gets the power supply gets used as and when. It's a nice thing to have. And again, thank you Zen for sending that to me. I know you've got a nice new shiny one. Nice lamp there for lighting up the surface mount bits and pieces. Over here, that just swings out of the way. Now, the new oven. This is a fan assisted oven, used obviously, fan assisted there. It can heat from the bottom and it can also heat from the top. It's all selectable with a timer here and here. You cannot adjust the temperature of the hot plates. They're either on or off, unfortunately, which is a shame. And what I've done is I've got some box section aluminium, and I've just chopped it up into lengths. And what we are going to do is get some threaded rod from one of our local shops, and I'm going to drill through here. I'm going to make up an insert just to go inside here with a hole in the middle, and then just bolt them all together. So you get the idea. It's only a quick demo. So there you go, you get the idea from that. And I'm also thinking of attempted to cut some of this in half, didn't do a fantastic job, but I'm also going to put 2 just rods through here straight across, and hopefully we'll just run these 2 and just allow them to be adjustable in and out. I've only used this side so far. I haven't tried the slightly smaller one. It might be that the smaller size is better, because this really does chuck out some heat. It will overshoot obviously, so it's just a question of practicing with the time it's on and what time you can turn it off to allow the board to reach, you know, the 120, 130 region. But I have tried it. I'll show you a board somewhere. Yeah, I just took an old scrap inverter board, and whether this is going to focus close up or not, I guess not. Anyway, I just preheated the board, and then I just directed some hot air onto this IC and just lifted it straight off with the sucker pen. And then to refit it, I just cleaned the pads and then pop some solder paste over there. That's what I've got. Now this is not very new, so ideally it should just be replaced, but I thought as a test I might as well use it. So I've just applied paste along the pins with the on the pads before the IC is fitted, just on both sides. I've then positioned the IC back in there. The board's preheated, and just with this with no tip. Oh, it's not going to come for one-handed. Hang on a sec. There we go. Yeah, just using the hot air heater with no tip, just warmed that up, and the pins have reflowed very nicely. In fact, it's really weird watching the solder paste just turn into solder, and it instantly leaps onto the pins and the pads, and does in fact help to self-align the IC. And the same with smaller components. If you're doing a few components with paste, even if they're not quite, if they're just off centre a little bit, or the pins don't quite line up here, as soon as it reaches reflow temperature, the components straightened up and sucked onto the pads. So it's quite interesting. Now, the other thing I did was to take one of these Pixelworks BGA ICs. This is, I think it's probably off of some scrap Samsung board, but I just cleaned all the pads, and then tiny little bit of flux along this row of pins or pads here, and just for the sake of it, I just smeared some solder paste over there, and then popped it into the oven. And because this has got quite an accurate thermometer inside it, you can actually achieve a sort of profile by, I started it off at around 50, then 90. I haven't got the profiles in front of me, but you can eventually crank it up to where it will reflow, and you can watch the solder paste melt, or in the proper way would be reflowing the balls, and you can watch them liquefy and open the door and pull it out. I don't think you're going to be able to see the solder on there very well, but there is solder on those pads. So I think that actually is going to work very nicely for 20 quid. A bit of aluminium, probably some threaded rod and a few nuts and bits and pieces. That will allow me to remove BGAs, reflow them once I've got the, reball them once I've got the reballing jig and selection of stencils, and it's a breeze just to be able to remove ICs and bits and pieces when they're nicely preheated. So that's the current project. It's only a Cookworks one. I don't know how much these things are new, but I would certainly think a fan assisted one is good to get a nice even temperature. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on how that goes and the finished article. I guess that's about it. Nothing else of any interest really. That's the garden, so at least I've got something to look at when we're sat here waiting for jobs to come in. Right, back to work. I've got some more plumbing to do, and I'll try and get this up on the forum later on, and I'll speak to you soon.